right, so welcome to the Nisha Jackson Show. We have an amazing show today. We're going to talk about EFT. It stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. And we have, in my opinion, one of the best emotional freedom technique practitioners ever. Right here with me, I have Linda Miner here. She is also my sister-in-law. And Linda and I have had a history of working together specifically with this technique. And she came over to my house for dinner tonight, and I just had this great idea that I should interview her about this technique, because this particular technique actually saved my life. I really feel like it did. I don't even know what year it was. It's been about 18 years now. At least 18 years, maybe closer to 20, I had a drowning incident in Cabo. And I went scuba diving, and I won't go into the gory details of what happened, but it was a really bad accident. And I ended up spending 3 days in the hospital. I basically drowned. My chest x-ray actually showed both of my lungs filled with fluid. And I passed out before I came to the surface of the ocean, about 15 feet below the surface, and they resuscitated me. I spent 3 days in the hospital with pretty miraculous intervention. Obviously, they're used to drowning incidents in Cabo, and they did a great job and saved my life. But when I got home, the problem was I started having really severe anxiety. I would have anxiety just looking at my daughters, who were young at the time, in the bathtub. If I saw water and I saw anyone close to water, I would start having an anxiety attack. I was even having anxiety attacks driving my car. And I am not somebody that has anxiety. I've never had anxiety. I've never had any restlessness of my nervous system. And so this was super foreign to me. And I didn't know what to do, because I was practicing gynecology, and I was seeing patients, and I had to kind of get it together. And so I didn't want to take medications that would make me not be able to go to work or make me sluggish in my brain. And I don't really like that going that route anyway. So I decided I would just start looking around at what are my other options. And lo and behold, this patient came in to see me, and she was talking about having anxiety, or having had anxiety, and that she was treated by this practitioner in Ashland 20 years ago that did this technique on her. And it was very effective for her, and she said it completely resolved her anxiety. Well, it wasn't literally 5 minutes after she left that I called this practitioner close to where I live. And I scheduled a session, and after the first session, I was probably about 40 or 50% better, at least. And then the second session, I was probably 75% better. The third session, which lasts about an hour, I was definitely 100% better. And I never had another anxiety episode again. So I became a fast believer in this method of really trying to remove an emotion that feels stuck. And it's readily available to all of us. Many years later, Linda, my sister-in-law, who's here with me, she was trained in this technique. But part of this technique that I feel you have to have as a practitioner, you have to have the ability to tune in to the client. You have to have the ability to lock onto what they're saying and be able to guide them through it. If you don't have that ability, in my opinion, I don't think you can be a very effective practitioner. And Linda has an incredible ability to do this, whether she's in the presence of you, or if she's doing it on the phone, or if she's doing it on a video chat. She's extremely effective, and actually has helped me personally many, many, many times in my life. She came to work for me, maybe it's been, how long has it been, 15 years ago?
No, it was the beginning of 2012.
2012. And we worked together for many years, actually giving this technique to our patients that were struggling with a lot of different emotionally based problems and physically based problems. And she had great success. So now she lives down here in La Quinta, where we're at today. And she's going to be working with our company again, providing this wonderful technique for people that are suffering from anxiety and fear and restlessness of their nervous system and feeling like they can't, Linda will better explain this, can't quite get rid of like an emotion that's stuck, that's keeping them from being their best self. So anyway, I'm gonna ask Linda some questions now that I gave you that long introduction, because it was so awesome that I found something that I could do besides use drugs. So thanks for agreeing to do this. I popped this on her last minute. She didn't have a chance to do anything. I just said, let's sit down and start talking. So tell us, Linda, what is EFT? Like what is it? What is it? What is the technique?
So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. It's been around for about 30 years now, and we actually have science backing up this technique. So basically what we're doing is we're tapping on acupressure points close to the surface of our skin, and it actually produces a calming effect. So we literally tap into the parasympathetic nervous system. So stress, overwhelm, anxiety, traumas create in our bodies, in our system, right? Get that nervous system going. The sympathetic nervous system gets it fired up, right? And there are physical sensations that come with overwhelm, anxiety, along with the emotional component, and then even some beliefs or thoughts that we have with regards to who we are in this world, safety issues. So it's just a very simple technique. And again, we're tapping on acupressure points. We are saying what we feel. So either the emotion we're feeling, we address the physical sensation that comes along with that. We measure it on what we call a SED scale from 1 to 10. And then we just began utilizing setup phrases, words, and those are very personal and individual. So the person that I work with, we use their words. We're going about, what it is that is causing the upset.
Right.
Would probably be the simplest way. Is what is the biggest issue for you right now that is causing the most upset for you?
So if somebody came in, because let's just use, I'm talking about anxiety or nervousness, but I think about people who say, well, I had this one incident happen to me when I was 19, and now I no longer can do this. That would be like a stuck emotion, because it's keeping them from going on to have the fullest life, right? Because they had something bad happen to them, and so no longer will they allow themselves to do A, B, and C.
And a lot of times, actually, I would say probably a good percentage of the time, we're not even aware that it's that event that took place 19 years ago. It's very subconscious. It's buried down deep. If we've never done any work with traumas, situations, not necessarily have to be a big trauma or event, because what does happen is small things, right, build up if we haven't addressed them.
Right.
And they get stuck in our system, and we have a really good survival mechanism, right, to run away from anything that is threatening.
Right.
So that is usually what happens, right? And it keeps us stuck, is that there is something that is trying to get our attention, tell us that, we got to run, we got to fight, freeze, to be safe.
Right.
And
this could be anything from, like what I said, fear. I was very fearful I had become, even though I love water, I become very fearful of water, all the way over to like flying off the handle and being very angry.
Oh,
and everything in between. This is not just anxiety.
Yeah, we all have our coping mechanisms, how we respond and react to things, and that's usually a good telltale sign. Right. Right, is how are we responding and reacting. So usually what I would find, and you might have found this too with patients coming in and just saying, all of a sudden I feel like I'm flying off the handle. Like, I can't handle what I used to be able to handle.
Right.
Seems like I'm overreacting.
Right.
Or all of a sudden, I know in my own life, I originally came to EFT because I had some anxiety. But then all of a sudden, it goes into a panic attack.
Right.
And you're like, I don't know what's going on, but I need to take care of this.
Right.
So yeah, broad spectrum.
Or
of
even like
things.
out of control cravings. People having problems like,
Yes.
I cannot get my eating under control.
Yes.
That's been a little problem for me lately. Excessive cravings, can't sleep at night because they can't turn their brain off, excessive thoughts, not feeling worthy, tied to something that happened to them. It could be something that somebody told them repeatedly, like you said, and then it
Yes.
just built on it. They had several other
Right.
situations.
Yeah, a
in
lot
their
of a lot of it is who we believe we are, how we fit into our world, right? Are we safe in our world? Is the world safe? How much do I value myself?
Right.
So yes, and like you said, along with the cravings or procrastination is huge. If we're finding that we're procrastinating, could be an issue. I've come to learn that behaviors are usually driven by emotions.
Sure. Yeah.
So if we have habits that we're not pleased with, that are not the best for us, whether it's relationships, health, physical, financial, money, or career, right? If we are finding that we're just don't seem to, no matter, we might have an area of our life that we like really excel at, maybe several,
Right.
but there's an area that just seems like we flounder with, right? There's never enough money in the bank account, or I can't seem to get that promotion, or
Right.
relationships, just seems like one bad relationship after another, weight issues, even some physical health pain issues. And so usually a lot of those things can be tied to our emotions.
Right.
And
those things can be moved with very few treatments, right?
oh yes,
I
Yes.
know that you like to do sessions like 3 to 5 sessions, like in a group, where
Yes.
they do them spread apart just a little bit,
Yes.
every couple of days or twice a week,
yeah,
or once a week. Or,
Yeah, I think it usually depends on the individual and where they're at and what exactly is happening. And then, because I do think homework is helpful, right? Because we're really teaching a tool that people can take and use on their own.
Right.
But what I found in my own life and with clients is that there are usually layers. And so we try to get to, really the root of the issue.
Right.
And that tends to be a limited belief
Right.
about a situation, or about ourselves, or again, money, career, like what we're able to have in our life.
Right. So I'd like to, in our next time that we talk, which will hopefully be soon, in our next show, I want to give an example of what EFT is. You can do it on me, and we can show all of our listeners and people out there that are interested in maybe working with you, how is it done? And I want to talk a little bit more about limited beliefs, because I think that's huge.
It is, yes.
And I really work on not doing that myself. So anyway, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
I can't wait to do the example so everybody can see.
Me too. Thank you, Nisha.
You're welcome. All right, so stay tuned, because we're going to show you exactly how this is done. And it's something that's free. It's something that you can learn to do on your own. We have an expert here who has great experience and a wonderful ability to connect with people, who's going to be working right with me. And I'm so excited that she's agreed to do this, because this is something you have to learn, because everybody has something that's limiting their ability to become their full self. So stay tuned. Make sure you check me out online, nishajackson.com, and also takebrandx.com. See you next time.